Hello, Stephen White, Steve Arts 89. One of the other pieces of news that's come out of the whole Comic Con, I think it was, I don't think it was announced at Comic Con, but they talked about it. I think it was already rumored. But there are talks this year of the 40th anniversary of Star Trek The Motion Picture to actually release the film in 4K. I think they actually announced they were going to release it in 4K, but they are now in talks about releasing the director's edition. Now, the director's edition was originally planned to come out for the 20th anniversary in 1999, but they missed that by a year or two. Um, and us fans were aware of it being made, and we knew about it and were waiting for it, and it just didn't happen when we thought it would. But it came out, it was good. They basically re edited parts of the film due to to increase pacing and stuff like that, and a lot of the things that Robert Wise would have done, because he never really got to do a final edit of the film. He never really got to do the final sound design, never got to preview it. Um, he basically, they were locked into a date that had to be finished by. They just managed to get it done that time, and he never really got to revisit it, and he always wanted to. And a lot of people did think there was something missing to the film. I felt some of those things actually gave it a different quality, so I wasn't bothered by the original edition. Um, the extended edition I had some problems with because they restored scenes without any effects budgets, so there are a few unfinished shots which are really painful to watch on like a full screen TV where you can see everything. In widescreen, some of those shots it's not as obvious, but some of the problems with set edges and stuff like that. But they redid a lot of the effects as well. They fixed some of the effects that had some minor faults, which I didn't really notice until they fixed them, and then I'm like, yeah, I can see the arm moving along through the scene next to the ship. Oh shit! So it's one of those can't be unseen things. But they fixed that. That was great. Um, and they redid a couple of effects, and they added some effects which were really great. And some back in the day they couldn't do some of the things they wanted to do, so they replaced some of the mats with some more ambitious, more true to the original design effects and elements, which were really good. I really liked them. The only thing I didn't like, which did not work like at all, was the San Francisco space tram station scene, air tram or whatever it was called. Basically, they had one shot of the Golden Gate Bridge and the air tram just going straight through from in front of us, um, and it was nice. But then the next shot was just the Starfleet headquarters logo, and that's it. And originally they had planned to have shots of the city, and the shuttle going over and all that. And I did see an unfinished shot or unused shot, which was really amazing. It was just a different angle, and the shuttle just going along, the air tram just going along, and I thought that was amazing. But when they redid this, when they did the director's edition, they tried to redo those shots, but they didn't do traditional mats, which would have been beautiful and had angles and perspective and grace and grandeur and everything that all the other effects from the motion picture had. Unfortunately, they just went out with a digital camera and took photos of the Golden Gate Bridge and then just stuck some very patchy little CGI drawings of Starfleet headquarters on into the land, basically into the hill, and it looked bad in the day. It looks bad now. It just didn't fit with the rest of the effects. It's the only thing that didn't. Everything else where they were done in the computer worked, but when they actually went out with just a little digital camera and just took a picture of and just used that as part of it just didn't work. So if they're going to do this, they have to replace that shot. I would suggest using the original shot, and making a couple of newer shots which are similar to, more in line with the original designs and the original shot, and maybe some of what they did with the director's edition as well, because those shots are a bit same. They don't have the drama, and they're just really basic. So as much as I respect the guys who did the director's edition, and how great a job they did inside Vija with all the new effects there, they really killed the San Francisco thing. And it's the only thing I don't like about that film. I made my own cut where you get the first shot and then you get to show their shots. So you get both, and I just normally focus on the original shot. I hope they fix that. I really hope they fix that, because they are talking about, because his vision, Robert Weiss's vision, was just to show shots of the city, and they had some sketches and original ones. If they can just stick to those, he'd be fine with it. I'm sure it wouldn't be. I hope they don't stick totally to the director's edition, because it was his version. I'm like, for the most, yeah, but there's a few little things that I'm sure he would have done differently if there was more time, and I think that scene is one. So I just hope they don't just recreate that exactly, because one of the main sticking points with doing it was originally they were going to do it in high definition, so it could be shown in theaters. I think there was some talk of it getting a limited theatrical release, or maybe when at least they were doing it, they were being open to it being released or shown theatrically. And they were going to, and then they got cheap, and they pulled back and just did a standard edition, because this was 2000. Like, there wasn't, DVD quality wasn't the same. TV standard was not what we have now, and HD was more like what we had when we still had TV, analog. So a lot of issues, and they just went cheap and decided, because the cost and time it would have taken to render the effects in HD was more, so they just cheaped out and went with standard, and that was kind of okay for DVD and video, but with Blu-ray and now 4K and just really good quality projection, it doesn't stand up. Especially the tram scene. That is the worst, because like I said, they just used, I know they did this. They said they went out in San Francisco themselves, took some shots for digital camera, and then put them in and used them to create a matte. And it looks like it was done with the digital equivalent of crayons. And I can't say enough bad things about it. The fact they expanded on that and showed more of the city was good, but the quality wasn't there, so that needs to be redone. Even if they keep the exact same shots, we'll just redo them so they have a higher level of quality, and they don't rely on a bad digital shot for the basis of it. So that's my one complaint, and the reason they're able to do this, though, this is the good thing, and we've known this for years, the fans have been talking about this for years, they kept all the digital files. So they, in theory, can just up resolution or render them in HD properly, as they should have. They don't have to, as far as I know, recreate anything or all of it. There may be a few things they have to do, but they don't have the expense of recreating the effects brand new. But hopefully Paramount might even go a step further and give them money to do a better job than just release the director's edition just in, high resolution. I'm hoping they'll do a little bit more, because there are a few little things that weren't quite right, but mostly just the tram scene. I can't get past the tram scene, because one of my favourite shots from the film is that beautiful matte shot, and then I saw a little picture of an alternate angle, and that was beautiful as well, and whoever was the director of photography or whatever for that, they just did a great job, and the people who did the matte jobs. And as much as I appreciate the guys who did the director's edition, like I said, they did a great job inside VJ, but they really didn't do a good job with that. And I don't know, I think it was just cheaper to go out and photograph the real location than to create the whole thing, I guess, as a CGI model or something. I'm not sure, but it looks flat and tacked on, but I gotta stop complaining about that. I just want them to fix it. So I'm very excited to get a high quality version of the film, because there are some sequences which are really great, and frankly I'll probably just do an edit of because there's a few scenes where they cut some of the VJ scenes a bit short because they felt they went on a bit too long. But if you love that film and you've watched it a million times, you get a bit attached to them. I'd like to sort of create my own version where just the extra stuff is added and nothing's taken out. But the actual final cut, I respect them keeping, because that's what he wanted. I think they should also do some sort of supplementary extra scenes or extended version that contains all the new scenes, and as long as you don't try and claim it was his version, it should be okay. So I'm very excited that they're in talks to do this. It might happen. Paramount obviously wants money out of Star Trek, and this is a way to get it by re-releasing this on the 40th anniversary and putting some effort into it. We've been crying about it and bitching about it for years. I hope it happens, but we'll see. Hopefully it'll be announced soon, but it may not be done by the actual anniversary date, is what they're saying, but who knows, maybe they will. Okay, thanks. If anyone knows anything more about this, let me know. Please like, subscribe, comment. Thanks, bye.